3, 2, 1. Oh my god, hi guys. Hi. We've got another end of year themed video. So excited about it. We're going to be talking about the videos that I am most excited for that are coming out next year because it is a year of horror films. We've already had a year of horror films this year, but next year I don't know, maybe it always seems that way, but for some reason, specifically next year, it feels like there's a ton of shit coming out that I'm really, really excited for. So I'm going to run through in order of when they're releasing. Some of them don't have like official release dates, but maybe they might be like spring 2025 or TBC or whatever. Those ones will kind of come as they come, or I'll put the TBC ones at the very end if they don't have an announced release date. Let's just jump into it. I'm not gonna lie, this first one I'm actually really excited about, but I'm also kind of trepidatious because Leigh Whannell is one of my absolute all-time favorite horror directors. I love him just so much. And he is doing an adaptation of Wolfman, which for those who don't know is a reboot of the 1941 film, The Wolfman. So it would be a good one. If you liked the format of my Nosferatu video, I can do a versus situation, a similar video style. And that one will actually be a proper film and not a silent expressionist German film. I'm really, really excited about it. The release date stresses me out a little bit, but they might also just not want that much competition for it. It's just like tends to be that January is a bit of a graveyard time for people to release films. But I trust Leigh Whannell. I love him. He's never done something that I haven't loved. He's done Upgrade, he's done Invisible Man, he did the original Saw films with our Lord and Savior James Wan. Like, they are incredible. I just really hope. I think also because Blumhouse is a producer, I'm kind of like, oh. Poor Blumhouse. I'll read a little synopsis. I've talked about Leigh Whannell for long enough. Family man Blake relocates from San Francisco to Oregon with his workaholic wife Charlotte and daughter Ginger after inheriting his childhood home, left vacant following his estranged father's mysterious disappearance and presumed dead. At the farmhouse at night during a full moon, the family is attacked by a werewolf that claws Blake's arm. They barricade themselves inside the home, but soon Blake begins to transform into something horrifying, jeopardizing the safety of his wife and daughter. I mean, the Wolfman, it's like I'm pretty sure there was a really shitty like Universal Monsters version of the film that came out in like around 2010, I want to say, when they were doing like the Dracula films. Underrated movie, that Dracula film, but when they were doing all those ones. So it's the Wolfman. It's a classic story. The actors are really good. It's got the girl who played Anna Sorkin in that Netflix show. Look, I'm hoping I'm wrong. There's some like red flag dude would be running across the screen, in my personal opinion. And Wolfman is coming out Jan 16th. Companion. This one I'm actually really excited about. It's coming out 31st of Jan. It's directed by Drew Hancock and it stars Sophie Thatcher, who, if you've seen Heretic recently with Hugh Grant, she is the one with the fringe, is what I'm going to say to avoid any spoilers. But she's also in Yellow Jackets. She's really talented and I think she's turning into a little bit of a scream queen, which we love. We love genre actresses. Companion, I didn't know anything about this until I watched the trailer, which I think came out like a month ago or so. It's got the guy from The Boys, who I think is like Zach Quaid's son or something. Yeah, and his name's Jack Quaid, so that would probably make sense. It looks like, it kind of was giving me like Fresh meets Barbarian, if that makes sense. It also would make sense that it reminds me of Barbarian because Zach Cregor, who was the director of Barbarian, is a producer on this film, and he actually planned on directing it, but then they instead gave it to Drew Hancock to direct. I feel like we're in safe hands because I loved Barbarian. So I can't find too many like blurbs about the plot, but I have watched the trailer, which is kind of like, doesn't show a huge amount other than it's quite obvious that there's some women being held captive. But this little synopsis from Google AI says, a billionaire's death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip to his lakeside estate. For me, this is a new IP, which I love in the horror genre because, as you will see from this list, overwhelmingly tends to be sequels, remakes, and adaptations. So anything that kind of is fresh and fun and funky and new, I'm always down for. I really like the actors. I really like Sophie Thatcher. I think that Zach Cregor did a really good job with Barbarian, so high hopes for this one. Jan 30th is the release date. Okay, this one I'm really excited about. This is yet again a new IP, which we fucking love. And it's coming out 7th of Feb because it is a Valentine's Day horror film. We needed something that wasn't My Bloody Valentines. Like, we've seen too many remakes of that. Although I do love Jensen Ackles. So, Hard Eyes, it's a slasher film, but my favorite part about this movie is that it's directed by Josh Rubin, who, if you ever watched OG College Humor videos, was in like all of them and wrote a bunch of them too. And he's been recently doing a bunch of horror films independent horror films that have come out on Shudder that have been really, really good. Scare Me was really great. It has that like girl who played the Nazi in The Boys season 4. So Hard Eyes premise. Co-workers working late on Valentine's Day are mistaken for a couple by the infamous Hard Eyes killer. And I love a serial killer mask. This movie may not be that good, but I just enjoy watching people try and make new serial killer masks. It could go either way. As I've said before, I'm not the biggest slasher fan, but this one, I really love Josh Rubin. I think his offbeat comedy is really funny, and I love a horror comedy. I think that those things just go so well together. And this one is classified as a romantic comedy slasher film, which, like, for me, over Valentine's Day, that sounds like a lovely way to celebrate the holiday. Wow, all the new IPs are coming out at the start of the year. We love to see it. Okay, so next, yet again, this one I found out about via trailer. I'm also slightly worried it's not going to be very good. But it's got Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller, so I can't be too mad about it. Even if it's bad, I'll still watch it because she's serving wig. So the trailer came out, like, I think a couple weeks ago, and it looks really interesting, kind of like I want to say like a sci-fi horror film is what I would call it. It's coming out the 14th of Feb, so I think that's literally Valentine's Day. The one thing that I noticed straight away from the trailer is if you've ever watched Firewatch, it was kind of giving Firewatch vibes. Or there's that Korean zombie film, I think it's called Z, where it's like the two people trying to speak from a far distance and like, you know, communicating, getting to know each other, and then they're like, fuck this, we're gonna meet, that kind of vibe. So the premise for this one, 2 elite snipers are assigned a mysterious mission to guard either side of a deep and impenetrable gorge without knowing what actually lies beneath them. And from the trailer, it very much looks like it's like some Leviathan type shit going down in that gorge, like it's like a gateway to hell kind of situation, which I love. Yeah, it's also got Sigourney Weaver in it. I'm sure that she's going to end up being like a mysterious benefactor. That is the roles that she plays at this point. But Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy, you've got me in a chokehold, and I will watch both of those in any film that they do, whether it's good or not. I will watch them. And I will say, it is directed by Scott Derrickson, who has directed The Exorcism of Emily Rose and Sinister and The Black Phone. Like, these are all good quality films, and I do like a survival horror film. So hopefully all good things. I just get really nervy about like start of year release dates for some reason. Okay, next. Coming out on the 21st of February, we have The Monkey, directed by Osgood Perkins. Now this is an adaptation of a Stephen King short film, which means we know the ending's going to be batshit. No, I'm joking. It's basically the exact same monkey that's in the Conjuring series and like / we've seen in 1,000,001 other horror films, which is great because like she's been begging for her own film. But I haven't read the original monkey short story. If you'd like me to and to compare them, I'm more than happy to. Please let me know down below if that's something that would interest you. But the trailer came out just recently. It's starring Theo James. Theo James is really pretty, so like down for that. Premise is, after stumbling upon their father's vintage toy monkey in the attic, twin brothers Hal and Bill witness a string of horrifying deaths unfolding around them. In an attempt to leave the haunting behind, the brothers discard the monkey and pursue separate paths over time. However, when the inexplicable deaths resurface, the brothers are compelled to reconcile and embark on a mission to permanently eliminate the cursed toy. Now, the biggest thing that I thought when I saw the trailer for this was, where the fuck did Osgood Perkins find the time? Because this is coming out like literally months after Longlegs did. I have no idea how he found the time. I am very interested to see how this film is, because I'm not going to lie, prior to Longlegs, I loved The Black Coat's Daughter. I think Hansel and Gretel was kind of or Gretel and Hansel, I can't remember how he put the title for that. So I would say he was kind of like touch and go. So it'll be interesting to see how he does adapting something. I guess Gretel and Hansel would have been an adaptation as well, but I know how Stephen King can get with his adaptation, so he'll let us know if he likes it or not before we even hear about it. So okay, this next one is super random, but I thought that the trailer looked amazing, and I love a sci-fi horror, so I am really excited for it and to give it a chance. It's coming out on the 21st of March, and it's a new IP, yet again, we love. Being directed by Flying Lotus, the producer, DJ, rapper extraordinaire. Super random. He has directed some other films too. I haven't seen any of them. This one has Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, so you got me there. Premise: on a distant planet, a woman wakes up to find the crew of her space station has been killed. She must decide if she can trust the man sent to rescue her. I love that shit. One of my favorite films of all time is Sunshine, which I love that movie. And when I watched the trailer, it gave me kind of similar vibes. But honestly, I don't know too much about the film other than that. It comes out in March, so we won't have to wait long. Okay, we've got our first psychological horror film of the list. Coming out on 28th of March is The Woman in the Yard. A woman in black appears on a family's front lawn and delivers a chilling warning. No one knows where she came from, what she wants, or when she will leave. Doesn't that just sound so good? I love shit like that. And it's being directed by the same person who did the House of Wax remake, which holds so much nostalgia with me, it's not even funny. I love that movie, even though I know it's not that good. I still just fucking love it. I can't help it. And he also directed Orphan. So I've got high hopes about this one. Maybe I'm setting my standards too high, but I think it's going to be a little underdog that's going to be really, really good. Okay, I actually added this onto my list like just before I sat down, because this morning the trailer came out, which is going to alert you as to when I filmed this video. The Death of a Unicorn, being released by A24. It's starring Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. Now, this one has only put spring 2025 as a release date, but I'm sure that we'll get... Oh, there's a construction man who's coming down now, and I'm just going to wait because I feel embarrassed. I also don't really know if it's going to be a horror film, but there were certain parts of it that definitely gave like horror in the trailer, and I saw some special effects work that looked really interesting too. So I want to take it into my world is what I'm gonna say. So a man and his teenage daughter accidentally crash into a unicorn while they are en route to a crisis management summit with his boss Del Leopold and Leopold's family. The Leopolds seize the unicorn, and their scientists discover that its flesh, blood, and most of all its horn are endowed with supernaturally curative properties which the Leopolds seek to exploit. However, as they delve deeper into their research, they discover the deadly consequences of their action. You got Paul Rudd. You got Jenna Ortega. It's being written and directed by Alex Schaffman, who I know nothing about, but it looks like a pretty amazing film. And it's got Will Poulter, who is just such a sexy chef. I just can't even. So this one, I will be seated and I will be waiting for that release date. Okay, this next one I'm excited about because it's directed by Christopher Landon, who did Happy Death Day, and I love those movies. I feel like they're some of my favorite horror comedies. It's called Drop. It comes out 25th of April. Violet, a widowed mother on her first date in years, who arrives at an upscale restaurant where she is relieved that her date Henry is more charming and handsome than she expected. But their chemistry begins to curdle as Violet begins being irritated and then terrorized by a series of anonymous drops to her phone. She is instructed to tell nobody and follow instructions, or the hooded figure she sees on her home security cameras will kill Violet's young son and babysitting sister. Violet must do exactly as directed, or everyone she loves will die. Her unseen tormentor's final directive: kill Henry. Now, this stars Megan Fahy, who like most people would know from The White Lotus season 2, but who I know from The Bold Type back in the day. And I really love her. I love Happy Death Day. I think the premise is super interesting. It wouldn't work nowadays because now you need to turn your AirDrop on for it not to just be available to your contacts, but I can't be already nitpicking a film before it's even come out. Okay, now we've got a couple adaptations, a couple sequels, couple familiar faces. And first, we're starting with an adaptation I'm very excited about. And that is Until Dawn. It's the adaptation of the video game that I have played a million times. It's coming out the 25th of April. And it's got Odessa, what's her last name? Odessa Azion, who I blah. There's also other actors in it, but she's the one that stood out to me because I loved her in the latest Hellraiser film, which is actually really, really good. But if you don't know Until Dawn, you should definitely play it. It's a hyper interactive video game where your choices matter like to a ridiculous degree. Like every single thing you do creates like 50 million different possible endings. But it's basically about a group of friends who go to a ski resort, and when they get there, they start being terrorized by a Wendigo. And it's so good. I also like, there's not enough Wendigo in film, basically. So I think that this is going to be a really good reintroduction of Wendigos to like the broader non-gaming population. Okay, next. Final Destination. It has a special place in my heart because when I was growing up, they were coming out every year. Are they all amazing? No. Did I think that it was really, really cool how the latest one that came out tied into the first one? Abso-fucking-lutely I did. Do I think the concept as a whole is really cool? Yes. Yes, I do. If you, for some reason, have never seen a Final Destination film, go watch them. They're pretty gory, but then towards the end, they just like rely too heavily on CGI, so it's not as scary as it is. But basically, a person has a vision that them and another group of people are going to die. So because they've had the vision, they stop that death from happening. And then death slowly starts to come after them one by one in ways that originally in the first film had something to do with the way that they initially died. That kind of concept kind of went away after a while, but there's been a million of them. This is the 6th one that's going to be coming out. It's called Final Destination Bloodlines, and it is coming out on the 16th of May. It's being directed by Zach Lipovsky. What else has Zach Lipovsky done? Oh, okay. He did the made-for-TV Kim Possible film in 2019. Okay. I am not saying he can't be good. This could be his breakout moment. I loved Kim Possible when I was a kid. And I think it might be the last film we see Tony Todd in, which like RIP. And hopefully they give him like some actual character depth this time and not just make it super random. I can't find any plot about it. It's the next Final Destination film. Okay, this next one I'm excited for. I'm so excited for it, guys. I'm so fucking excited for it. It's 28 years later, coming on the 20th of June. I'm sure everybody's already seen the trailer for it. It looks really, really good. It's got Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's got the OG director coming back. And that OG director is Danny Boyle. I'm just like, So far, this series has never missed. Like, there's only 3 of them, including the one that's about to come out, but like it's just so good. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Jodie Comer and Ralph Fiennes is going to be back as well. It's like they've basically said that this is going to be the start of a whole new trilogy that's moving into the next phase of this series, which I love. There's a whole bunch of chatter online that Cillian Murphy is only in the film as a zombie, which you see him for like 2 seconds as a zombie in the trailer. He's also going to be an executive producer, which is super exciting. I just honestly think that this is a sure win. I don't think it's going to miss at all, and I'm really, really excited for it. Only 6 months to wait. And then also in June, on the 27th of June, so a week later, we have Megan 2.0, otherwise known as Mithrigan, as people called it. Megan was really good. I thought it was very, very good film, especially for like, to make another haunted doll film that's not Chucky or Annabelle, like to bring something new into that subgenre, you've got a lot on your shoulders. There's so many shitty versions of that subgenre of horror. So the same director is coming back, Gerard Johnston, Kiwi director we love, and James Wan is still going to be producing, so hopefully all good things. I don't know much about the plot. There's basically nothing about the plot out there, but my assumption is that it's going to be about Megan coming back. It has the same cast, so Alison Williams and Violet McGraw, who played the fucking annoying kid, they come back. Really good actors, and like their dynamic was super, super interesting. Like I liked the whole characterization of her as a toy maker who like can't fuck with children, and like using like the whole story of using that doll as a replacement of being bothered to parent your kid is I thought it was a really good subplot. So yeah, I'm keen to see Megan do some more gymnastics and fuck shit up. I think it'll probably be a huge social media campaign for it too, which will be fun to watch, because I know the last one they threw around a bunch of Megans everywhere, so they'll come up with something interesting. Okay, I feel like we're like halfway through the list. This is a long video. Or it feels long filming it, but I've cut everything out, so it's short now. Okay, another sequel. I Know What You Did Last Summer. There's a new one that's coming out, and it's coming out on the 18th of July, apparently. Oh, it looks like it is gonna have Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. are gonna come back. And Madeline Klein. Wow. So it looks like they're doing a Scream where they're going to bring back all of the OG actors and then also bring in some newbies. So Madeline Klein, obviously, everybody loves her. She's massive. So I feel like as though she'll probably be our Scream Queen. It looks like it's going to skip the third film and just be a direct continuation from the sequel. So they're doing a Halloween kind of vibe with that. Director-wise, it's being directed by a lady, which we love, Jennifer Caton Robinson. Looks like most of the stuff she's done has been writing. Oh, and she did do Revenge, which I didn't really love, but it was kind of funny. Rebooting a series is always tough. The fact that the original cast is coming back, and I know for a fact that Freddie Prinze Jr. is a huge genre fan. Like, he's got his own podcast with his brother talking about horror films. So I feel like hopefully he wouldn't do us wrong. But I also haven't seen him in anything in like 3 decades. So hopefully it's amazing. If it's not amazing, hopefully it's just fun. Like, I don't think the original I Know What You Did Last Summer were ever that amazing. But they were fucking stupid and fun. There was a fisherman with a fish hook who was stalking college students. And apparently nobody saw him in this fucking costume once. Crazy shit. Okay, this one I'm actually kind of excited for because they've kind of done a Quiet Place Day 1 treatment of Insidious, where it's going to be a film called Thread, an Insidious tale. So it's like set in the same universe but not part of the original storyline, which is amazing because that storyline is done. It's done to death. Done to death. We don't need any more. We don't need to see that family anymore. They're good. Let's leave them be now. So this one's coming out the 29th of August. I also feel like as though with some of these ones that are coming out starting to go into the later half of the year, there's probably a high possibility they'll be pushed back into 2026 or later on. Like, these dates, whilst maybe what they have said for now, could be pushed. So we've got a directorial debut for this one by a Jeremy Slater, who has written films like Death Note, didn't love that film, Godzilla and Kong, which I did love, but not for its writing. He did the Exorcist TV show. Okay. He was the head writer and executive producer of Moon Knight. There we go. There's the twinkle of trust. I've got him. I find the glimmer of what do you call it, potential in any director. There's not much that's known about it. It's a spin-off of the mainline series, and it's gonna star Mandy Moore and Kumail Nanjiani, both of which I love. Both of which are great actors. I do find with Kumail sometimes I'm kind of like, when he tries to be in serious films, I can't take him seriously because he's got a very deadpan delivery, but so do I. So I can't judge him too much. I'm interested to see what it's going to be. Thread, maybe there's going to be some sort of ghost that has a needles, which I really hope that that's not the case because that sounds horrendous. But I do love the Insidious films, and it does look like James Wan is going to be a producer on the film, so hopefully that means he's not just doing a cash grab and he's actually invested in it and will be watching over the production, making sure that it's good. Because I do love the Insidious films, and I even love the third one. I think it's really underrated and really amazing. So I can see the way that you would do an Insidious film in a way that I feel like it's such a world that can be kind of explored, but it has to be in the right hands. So Jeremy Slater, we're going to see how you do. See, I told you, all these ones in this mid part of the year are all sequels. So this next one is the next Conjuring film, the Final Conjuring film, which is like until they decide to make another one in 10 years' time. But for right now, it's going to be the final one in the main storyline with Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're going to do 1,000,001 spin-offs from this, but for the main storyline, this is the final one, which honestly they've been going on for a really long time, so good on them for kind of maintaining quality. I would say I didn't love the last one, but I did think it was still good. It just wasn't my favorite, and I assume they're going to do something really cool for the finale. So okay, so it's going to be called The Conjuring Last Rites. It's coming out the 5th of September. Probably not. Prob's going to be pushed back, but let's put that in for now. It is the 9th installment in the Conjuring universe. That is crazy. And it's actually going to be directed by the guy who directed the last one and who also directed The Curse of La Llorona, Why the fuck can I not say that? La Llorona. Whatever, I'll say it like a white person. And The Nun 2, which gives me hit or miss, if I'm being honest, but if James Wan is trusting him with his baby, then I'm gonna give it to him. There's not a lot known about the plot. They've basically said nothing. Gonna have Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson return for the last time, so I think we'll all hold hands and think about the past decade of Conjuring films and what's to come, but say goodbye to the actors who made two really horrible people really likable for a short period of time over film, and Ed and Lorraine Warren are lucky to have them because fuck those two people. Okay, we're back to new IPs. We've got a film called Him, which is coming out 19th of September. Yes, I'm excited about this one because it's through Monkey Paw Productions, which if you don't know is Jordan Peele's production company. It's a sports horror film, which is like something I've never seen before. It's all about an up-and-coming athlete who goes to train with a legend who is about to retire, and it's got it's got one of the Wayans brothers in it, which is so exciting, and I just think it's going to be awesome. And I do think it's going to have that kind of like offbeat humor that we are kind of used to seeing from both Jordan Peele and the Wayans brothers, even though Jordan Peele's only producing. It doesn't matter. The director looks like the only thing I've seen from what he's done is the TV show Joe versus Carol, which I liked. I thought the documentary was more exciting, if I'm being honest, but I still liked it. But I'm just excited for it either way. I think Justin Timberlake is going to do a great job. It's a Monkey Paw production. It's got one of the Wayans brothers. I'm going to be at that theater. I'm going to be seated. And did I say that's coming out 19th of September? Okay, this is another one I'm very excited for because it sounds batshit. So this is an adaptation of The Bride of Frankenstein, which is being directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. So random. It's gonna be a musical. It's Wikipedia describes it as a sci-fi musical monster film, and it's written, directed, and produced by Maggie Gyllenhaal. It's gonna be starring Jessie Buckley, who was in that Men film that I talked about in my Substance video. Very weird, but she was incredible in it. She's an amazing actress. And it's going to have Christian Bale. And like, Christian Bale he rarely misses. So I'm kind of like keen to see Christian Bale and Jessie Buckley like sing some shit and be weird, and like it just sounds like a really strange little movie that is gonna be fucking awesome. I love the story of Frankenstein. I love the story of The Bride of Frankenstein, and I think that considering there is another Frankenstein adaptation coming out next year, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, it's going to be the year of Frankenstein, I reckon. Another one that I can do a original versus adaptation if you'd like. And that one's coming out the 26th of September. I can't remember if I said that or not. Okay, our next sequel that we're talking about, The Black Phone 2. This is one of those ones that like, there's a part of me that wonders why this is going to exist. I feel like The Black Phone was so amazing as an isolated story, and I kind of don't know how they're going to continue it into a sequel, if I'm being completely honest. But you know Jason Blum, he loves to beat the shit out of an IP. So it looks like it's going to have the brother and sister back. It also looks like Ethan Hawke is coming back as the grabber again. I just don't know how they're going to do this, especially because the original was based on a short story. And it's like, where is it just going to be that the grabber escapes from jail and terrorizes the brother and sister? But then how does the phone come into it? Like, are they going to do a switch where the sister is the one who gets kidnapped this time? Like, I don't know. It's one of those films that I'm definitely going to go and watch. I loved the first one, but I'm just very skeptical as to why it needs a sequel other than a cash grab. Like, the story was so perfectly tied up, and it was such a surprise great horror film. Like, everybody just no idea where it came from. Ethan Hawke was in it, was terrifying in it. The acting was amazing. It felt like a Stephen King novel without being a Stephen King novel, and it came out around about the same time as it, and it was just like so good, and I don't think it needed a sequel. But my never-ending feud with Jason Blum will continue, but this comes out the 17th of October. Okay, this one I also have feelings about, but I'm still going to watch it, and I'm still excited for it because I'll watch any Hell House LLC film that comes out. The new Hell House LLC is going to be coming out in October of 2025. I know that they just released one on Shudder. I haven't actually seen it yet, surprisingly enough. This one's going to be called Hell House LLC Lineage. and it may be apparently the final installment in the series. There's no information about the plot because, as I said, the first one literally just came out. It's coming out in October of 2025. These movies have progressively gotten worse as time has gone on, but I love the first one so much that I keep on watching them, and I do need to watch the fourth one before I judge it. Another one I'm very excited about. It is the sequel, but I'm still really excited about it because I love the Predator and Alien franchises separately, and this is Predator Badlands, which is set to come out the 7th of November. That date's probably going to change. It's starring Elle Fanning. I think it only literally just stopped filming. The premise that we have: in the future, a predator traverses on an alien wasteland while two sisters discover their horrifying past. I think Elle Fanning is a really good actress. I also think she's had a little run as a scream queen and she doesn't get enough credit for that. I think it'll be really cool seeing her as like an action actress because she hasn't really played that before, and I loved Prey so much, and I think that the direction that the Predator franchise is going in is super exciting, and I'm really excited to see it at the end of next year. It is one of those things where like I think about November next year and that feels so far away, but I know it's going to come really quickly and then piss me off how quickly the year is gone. This one is a bit random, but I during COVID loved that there were 3 Fear Street movies that came out one after the other over the course of 3 weeks. My sister and I snuggled in every Friday and watched the new ones that came out. They were goofy, they were for teenagers, they weren't particularly terrifying, but it was just such an interesting viewing experience for when usually we have to wait like for a whole film trilogy, we usually have to wait like years, like over the course of a decade to get to that point. So being able to watch 3 complete films finish a storyline over the course of 3 weeks was really, really cool. And I wish we saw more of it, to be honest. So it does look like it's based on the novel The Prom Queen, which is from one of the Fear Street books, which is what the Fear Street film series is based on, if you didn't know. The premise is, as students at Shadyside High are preparing for the 1988 prom, the It Girls are fighting to get support to be voted prom queen. As an unusual nominee emerges in the race, some of the other candidates begin to vanish without a trace. I just love Goosebumps, Fear Street, all that kind of like retro 80s style horror. It's all kind of gateway horror to me. It's all fun, it's goofy, it feels low stakes, and it's great for a movie night. So it coming out on Netflix, I'm going to have my friends over, we're going to have a little viewing party. It's not going to be my favorite film of all time, but it's going to be fun. Okay, we've only got 3 left, guys. So these ones all are TBC 2025 releases, so they might push into 2026 because they don't have release dates yet. But the first one is A Quiet Place Part 3. If you don't know A Quiet Place, it's everywhere, but basically A Quiet Place is aliens come down from space and they find people by sound, so the world turns into a silent world. There's been 2 up to this point, so this is obviously going to continue the story of the family that we've seen in the first part. And the second part, it's a really, really strong IP that's come in the past couple of years. The second one had Cillian Murphy. I don't know if this one's going to have him, actually. It'll definitely have Emily Blunt. So they did say that it was going to be the final film in the Quiet Place trilogy, and he intended to serve as director. It looks like maybe it hasn't even filmed yet because initially it had a release date and then they've gotten rid of that release date because it was announced in 2022. So this one kind of looks like it will probably drag out a little bit, but I loved the first one. The second one was also very good, but I thought the first one far outweighed it. But since we've already had to, why not finish it off as a trilogy? And A Quiet Place Day 1 was incredible. So if they can continue with that shit, I'm down. Next, we have the Frankenstein adaptation by Guillermo del Toro. I love Guillermo del Toro. I also love Jacob Elordi, and Oscar Isaac. So this is just, I'm just so fucking excited. This one's going to be coming out on Netflix, so it could actually come out 2025. But it's an adaptation of Frankenstein. A doctor creates life from lightning and dead bodies, and I am so excited. I'm so excited. I just love the story of Frankenstein. I think the actors are really good. I think Oscar Isaac is an incredible casting for the Doctor, and I have literally nothing else to say other than Guillermo del Toro is my god and savior, and I would do anything for him. And the last one on my list, it's also TBC 2025, but I think it will probably be delayed because it is an animated film. It's a film called Wildwood, which is a stop motion animated dark fantasy adventure horror film. And it is based on the 2011 novel by the same name. The plot follows Prue McKeel and Curtis Melberg as they attempt to save Prue's infant brother Mac from the crows led by Alexandra while drawn into a hidden magical forest. So from what I've seen of the book, it's giving like Coraline style. It's like a dark fantasy that kids can watch, but definitely has horror elements, which I love. And I also love stop motion. So I think it's really cool and exciting to see a stop motion film on the slate for 2025. But because it is stop motion film, I would not be surprised if it pushes by a year or two. So we'll see whether or not that one comes out, but very excited for that. And that's it. That's my list of 2025 horror films that I'm excited about. There's definitely other horror films that are coming out next year, but these are the ones that have piqued my interest / I'm really invested in, either because they're the sequel or the directors are known, or I saw the trailer and I thought it looked really interesting. Please let me know any horror films that you're excited about watching next year, if I've missed anything or if I need to check anything out. But for now, please like, subscribe, comment, blah, blah, blah if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!